being Juneteenth as of the day that I'm uploading this video, I wanted to make something that kind of celebrates how far we as a black community have progressed in this country. Not that long ago, African Americans in media were only used as poor, hood, ignorant, backward-speaking stereotypes to their white counterparts. But now in 2022, we see more unique roles, still not representative of society, and characters portrayed by black characters. Going even further, there are some shows that actually decide to shine a little bit of a focus on the black in black characters and aim to highlight the black experience, and just like any minority, a part of that experience is, well, racism. Today, like in all my videos, I wanted to take a look at a few of our favorite animated shows over the years and talk about how they address racism better than just about any live action show or movie that you may have ever seen. I want to start with the show that probably has the most basic approach to this topic, but basic doesn't mean bad when we're talking about Static Shock, as the initial incident that jumpstarts the story of Static is called the Big Bang, where during a meeting of rival gangs in the fictional home city of Static in Dakota, there is a chemical explosion that affects all in the area, including our young hero Virgil Hawkins, who gains the power of manipulating static electricity. In the comics, and yes, I'm gonna jump back and forth from the comics and the show as much as I fucking want, the Big Bang was actually a ploy from the city government to handle the warring gang problem, in which they were facilitated to a certain location and the quote Q juice was released. But in actuality, a majority of people died on the spot. Gang members and police alike, and the gang culture impacting the crime-ridden area of Black Dakota persisted, and now featured super-powered criminals and bolstered gang empires as a result of government experimentation in the black community. This highly nuanced approach to writing minorities as simply being in some situations a product of just being placed in bad environments is something that can only be portrayed this way, I believe, in animation, as it's something that is so unseen to the normal person that it's hard to grasp on a first watch and connect dots to actual allegories to things that actually happen in real life. Actual representation of something of this magnitude would just cause sheer disbelief to so many people, but for Dwayne McDuffie and the writers of Milestone Comics to have an understanding of how to transfer real stories into fictional mirrors, it opens the door for so much more in the rest of the show. In the actual show, we see a later instance where Virgil's best friend and co-partner in Richie is forced to finally introduce Virgil to his father after basically hiding his existence throughout their friendship. And when we meet him, he's a little mean.
And now I see why Richie acts like a hood, Maggie. That kid's a bad influence.
He's a bigot. This episode is often praised as one of the best episodes of the series, and for obvious reason, it puts our characters in a very believable situation and has very believable solutions and reactions to that situation. It's on the nose, it's simple, it's obvious, and it's, quite frankly, reality. There are some people who simply do not think that black people are positive contributors to society, nor believe that we are anything beyond the hood that many of us have been forced to uphold and forever rot in for so long. And some of those people will never change. And that's just something that these characters and so many in the real world just have to deal with. Some of them may change, but a lot of them, at the end of the day, are closer to you than you think. And that's truly what this episode highlights above all else. In the past season of Young Justice, there were a lot of things that happened. Check out my streaming video if you want my full thoughts, but the one I want to key in on is the beginning of season 4, where we visit Miss Martian's homeworld of, you guessed it, Mars. And we discover the social climate there of the apparent racism that has influenced Megan her entire life. Going back a little bit, when we first met Megan, she introduces herself not only as Martian Manhunter's niece, but as a Green Martian. This isn't just for familiarity's sake of the dumb, stupid Earthlings, but it's directly a result of her insecurities as a white Martian, growing up on Mars, where she faced constant persecution for her appearance as that white Martian. And yes, before you ask, they have the same powers, abilities, and brain capacity, and yet are still racist. Sounds a little bit familiar. They communicate with their minds most of the time, and yet experience such a degree of prejudice that it scarred McGann's mind so bad that she faked her appearance on an entirely different planet and adopted a fictional moniker to escape the potential discrimination she thought she'd face once again. But it's through this aspect, as well as showing in season 4 the actual existence of racial persecution on Mars, even for someone as heralded as Miss Martian and Superboy, that Young Justice truly shows us its storytelling prowess and care for a subject of the likes of racism and have an understanding of its effects on the victims of this horrible phenomenon. Teen Titans is a show that covers a lot of topics in its 5-season runtime, from puberty, abandonment, and jealousy, all the way to what we're talking about today in racism. Now, I know that most people who have talked about Teen Titans in retrospect or analysis have definitely discussed this aspect of the show at nauseum. But I think I may offer a perspective on this part of the show that may go under the radar in the usual talks about this series. In the episode Troc, we're introduced to an adult hero who the Titans take a liking to because of his abilities, or at least all the Titans except Starfire do. Because while on their mission, this hero refers to Starfire as Troc. And what we later learn through a conversation between Star and Cyborg is that the word really means nothing at all. And as a result, Cyborg adopts this to calling her that, and because he views it as a nickname, just another word to call a friend, we're then hit with a scene like this.
You do not call me that!
But Valyor calls you Troc all the time.
That does not make it right.
What's up? I thought you said it didn't mean anything.
No, I said it means nothing.
You see, the thing that really makes this so amazing is that because of the misunderstanding from the rest of the Titans of how underlyingly hurtful that word is, especially coming from someone who everyone else around respects and holds in such high regard, the discriminatory language and behavior was allowed to continue and potentially exist and even spread to someone attempting to do the same thing. Through the Titans' ignorance, Valyor's prejudice, and the silent minority of Starfire, the disrespect and usage of the slur to diminish Starfire's entire race was almost allowed to continue and to prosper. This very instance happens every single day in real life with the use of the N-word, by allowing people who wish ill will or hate or even just feign ignorance to the black community to use that word, especially while we as a people fight to recontextualize it and to uplift our own community from within. It would only continue the cycle of underlying disrespect and racism that can't be allowed to persist. And that is just an amazing and beautiful message to portray in a show and story about 5 teenagers saving the world and learning about each other along the way. Me personally, I hope I was able to portray a good message through this video, and I hope that you all were able to learn something today from us going through some of our favorite shows that we hold in such a high regard. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that you leave a like, subscribe, and want more videos like this in the future, and continue to commemorate African American achievements along the way, and especially today as it is Juneteenth, and I hope that you all do celebrate it and have a happy rest of your day. Peace.